Chapter 45, in which Todd and Audrey Pratchett prepare for destiny. Upon arriving at the fairground in the family car, the Pratchetts found themselves in a line with a group of cars that were waiting to pass through the ticket booth. However, that didn't bother them. At least, they were staring ahead at the fairground, with the music blaring outside and the Ferris wheel turning in the sky. They could smell the dust of the racetrack, and they could smell the food carts and see balloons aloft. But towering over the entire fairground was the dirigible Providence. All above the city, the sky was overcast, although there was a breeze that was just light enough to keep one cool under the harsh heat. Looking at the Zeppelin, Todd asked, "You got any money for us?"
"I have plenty," Grandpa Jack said. "Want something when we get inside?"
"I'm going to win a stuffed animal by spinning a wheel and it will stop at the right number," Audrey said.
"Then add to your collection of guests," Grandpa Jack laughed.
"I'll have a funnel cake with chocolate drizzle, and a hamburger, and an orangeade," Todd said.
"But you'll have to let me look after you two. And don't wander off. Deal?"
"It's a deal."
"Great. And don't worry about the dirigible. You just leave it all to me. And if I see any pickpockets out there, I'll give 'em where it hurts."
After a red Fiat passed through the ticket booth, it was the Pratchett's turn. Grandpa Jack stopped next to a red and gold uniformed balding man inside the booth. The one peculiar thing inside the booth next to him was a beckoning cat figurine, the pupils constricted and red.
"How many are you in there?" the cashier asked. "One grown-up and 2 children," Grandpa Jack said. "And by any chance do you happen to see a girl with pink hair and ears like a cat come by here, at the booth?"
The cashier shook his head.
"No. Then again, who does want to believe in something that isn't real?"
"My children would," Grandpa Jack thought.
"No idea,"
he said, looking at the worried faces of the grandchildren through the rear-view mirror. 11 sterlings, the cashier said. Grandpa Jack hands the amount to the cashier, allowing the family car to pass through. He carefully parks his car between a Delaney Belleville and a Peugeot. Todd and Audrey got out, followed by their grandfather.
"You wipe that sorrowful look off your faces, children," he said, pointing a finger at them. "Look ahead at the view. It's beautiful."
"It's okay," Audrey said.
"See to it that this princess is welcome to the city today," Grandpa Jack said.
"I know," Todd said. "But what if she's not coming?"
"Don't forget," Grandpa Jack said. "I hear Donovan's broadcast too. Makes it sound like an act of disrespect towards her. After everything she has done, that makes the city turn against her. I hate what the city has done to her. I'd be happy to talk some sense to him."
"And get into trouble?"
"You said so yourself, son. Even though she's different, she has a voice who deserves to be heard."
The children grabbed their grandfather by the hand and ventured towards the wonderful music, for they're already craving with excitement. But little did they expect, their friend Princess Kitty of KAWAII Wonderland is nowhere to be seen. But her friends were, and they're about to meet the Pratchetts. They can hear a voice booming out from a megaphone.
10 pence a haircut! Step right up! Why go to a barber shop if you could get your hair cut in under 3 minutes?
It was Professor K. Boom, dressed in his pink shirt underneath a white suit and a matching top hat with a light blue trim. Along with his companions, Miranda Stearns and Adam, a humanoid robot. He had recently unfolded his contraption that was placed on top of a flatbed. A stepladder was placed next to the flatbed, so any customer can climb and try the invention for themselves. Once he had gotten his invention ready for business, a sign is placed on it reading, "K.A. Boom Exclusive Hair Cutting Machine. 10 pence per customer. Satisfaction guaranteed." When Professor K. Boom saw Grandpa Jack, he he asked. How would you like a haircut for 10 pence? A shave in under 3 minutes? But Miranda said, Please don't, old man. You'll thank me later. Professor K-Boom shouted, I know it will work this time! I don't need a haircut, but thanks for the offer, Grandpa Jack said. Are you sure? Then you'll be missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to try out my greatest invention. Just think. The average time for boys to get their haircut is 20 to 30 minutes, while girls get their haircut in 40 to 50 minutes. A haircut for both sexes costs 35 pence. However, my haircutting machine will cut the time in just 3 minutes per customer, and it only costs about 10 pence. The way I see it, I'll be making a fortune if this succeeds.
It saves time and money,
Adam exclaimed.
What do you say? Are you in or in?
Neither, Grandpa Jack said. I don't need a haircut. Though I hope you do good with that machine this year, I doubt anyone will decide to get their haircut. Maybe you'll showcase that thing at the World's Fair. If you're not going to climb up and get a haircut, then why are you here? Professor K-Boom asked. Are you police? I want you to know I have a permit. We're here because we're expecting Princess Kitty to show up. Princess Kitty? I know her! I met her when she thought I was a monster because of my protective suit. Todd laughed. That Princess Kitty always succumbing to judging grown-ups, Professor K-Boom said. Aside from a bad first impression, I became fascinated with her, even studied her for research. Did you know that she's weightless when she's on a scale? 0.0 pounds. As soon as I see her again, there's a lot of questions I have to ask her. Miranda sneered. If she comes here, I'm calling the police. Professor K-Boom, without losing his grin, whispers to her ear. I won't let you get in the way of the most important discovery, you conceited, ungrateful, no-nonsense little son of a... Then he turned away and used his megaphone. Come on, folks! Step right up! Get yourself a fancy haircut or trim! You may have short hair or long hair. Either way, it makes no difference to Kevin Alexander Boom's exclusive and revolutionary hair-cutting machine! Then Todd's schoolteacher, Mr. Hofstadter, takes notice of Professor K-Boom's machine and decides to participate. Why, Professor K-Boom, I'd like to go for a haircut, he said. I'll have to change my look for next school year. Certainly, Mr. Hofstadter, Professor K-Boom smiled as he is paid 10 pence from him. Would you kindly sit down while I lower the machine? He lowered the helmet on the teacher's head. Just relax, you'll be ready in a jiffy. As Professor K-Boom got on the bike, Mr. Hofstadter couldn't help but feel nervous. We can't wait for the next school year, Mr. Hofstadter, Todd smiled. Of course I've been myself, Todd, Mr. Hofstadter said. Even some children deserve the best education. Professor K-Boom lowered a small white wheel down to the big back wheel of the bike. With a smile, he began to pedal, turning the machine on. As the contraption started, the helmet on Mr. Hofstadter's head started to shake a little, making him feel a little nervous. Hi, is this supposed to happen? He asked in concern. Professor K-Boom said with a smile. Don't worry about anything, sir. Just a little friction to start. Hi, it tickles! Mr. Hofstadter said with a laugh as he smiled. Oh, you always say that, Audrey said, laughing. It wasn't long before Todd joined in their little laughter. For some reason, everyone but Miranda enjoyed hearing the children laugh, so they wanted to laugh along. However, as Professor K-Boom laughed along, he hadn't noticed that he'd started pedaling even faster, so fast that the helmet Mr. Hofstadter had on his head began smoking. Noticing the helmet, Todd stopped laughing. Mr. Hofstadter, your head is smoking! He cried out of concern. I'm burning! Mr. Hofstadter shouted, despite laughing a bit. Soon the crowd stopped laughing as they saw what was going on. If smoke meant one thing, it meant trouble. For Professor K-Boom, anyway. Grandpa Jack then turned to Professor K-Boom, who still seemed to be having fun with the machine, blissfully unaware of what was going on. Professor, Grandpa Jack asked. What? Professor Kaboom asked. Grandpa Jack simply pointed towards the machine with a nervous look on his face. Gott im Himmel! Professor Kaboom screamed. With that, he stopped the bike and hastily got off, coming over to the machine as he waved some of the smoke away. Hopefully, nothing too drastic had happened to Mr. Hofstadter.
No big deal. Just a few technical difficulties. I can assure you it's harmless.
Adam said, lifting the helmet off the teacher's head. Everyone gasped in shock and surprise at what they saw. Mr. Hofstadter was now bald, save for a few hairs on his head. Seeing that the damage was done, Professor Kaboom broke in a sweat. The intention was to give Mr. Hofstadter a haircut, not shave his hair off. Mr. Hofstadter glared at Professor Kaboom before looking around. What happened? Could someone give me a mirror? I think I'll get you one from home, Professor Kaboom said nervously before bolting out. Unfortunately, his niece handed Mr. Hofstadter a mirror, allowing him to see his reflection. Upon doing so, he screamed. All of his hair was gone. My hair! Where is he? He demanded angrily, looking for Professor Kaboom. She blatantly pointed to a direction. There he goes! Get back here! I'm going to crack your dome and shove that death trap invention straight up your butt! Mr. Hofstadter screamed as he began chasing after Professor Kaboom. Maybe we should leave, miss, Grandpa Jack said. We're on our way to have fun. We have an hour and a half before we get to the dirigible. If you think that's bad, wait until you hear about a stupid cat fetish, Miranda said. It's been nice seeing you. John Pratchett. I'm their grandfather to Todd and Audrey, but the others call me Jack. We hope my grandchildren can be the first on board the dirigible.
That depends on who is chosen to go,
Adam said. Well, later on, I hope you'll hear about the great things Kitty might have done, Grandpa Jack said, and went further and further into the fairground, along with the children.
Say, aren't we going to go after the professor and see if he's in one piece?
Adam asked. Why would we? Miranda sneered. He had it coming. I always knew he was a total screw-up. After nearly 30 minutes, the cool of the summer wind came toward the fairground. Perhaps it might be the storm running out of patience. At this point, Grandpa Jack realized something. Even though the Ferris wheel went round and round in the sky, and seemed twice as high as by day, he knew that everyone wasn't here for the Ferris wheel. He and the children could hear the crackle of the gambling machines and the music of the merry-go-round and the voice of the man in the Beano booth calling numbers. But he knew that everyone wasn't here for those either. They were just here for the showcase that towers over the fairground. Todd and Audrey were once again greeted by Francine and Danny with their parents. So here you are at the fair, Francine said. I have to tell you something. What is it? Todd asked. Something great. A crowd is gathering around the dirigible and some news or cameraman is getting ready. Would you like to come with us? Francine's father asked. Lead the way, sir, Grandpa Jack said. But wait for me. I've been trying to walk recently. So, you've been walking again, haven't you? Danny's father asked. Never felt better after 20 years, Grandpa Jack said. By the way, I've heard this princess came a few days ago, Francine's father said. So you've met her, didn't you? Your grandchildren should have met her. She was at my daughter's birthday party. Never seen her this happy in my life. Surely you see her today, Todd exclaimed. She's expected. Well, that's perfect, Danny's father said. Can't wait to see her. The parents led the Pratchetts to the Providence, where enormous crowds of people are gathered to spectate the launch. One could easily feel the tension in the air, the icy stares that they were getting from strangers. Grandpa Jack was never surprised by that. It seemed that Mayor Donovan has gone all out, to make sure that it was well known to the eyes of the public that the bicentennial shall remain without incident. The excitement was tremendous, especially when people held up signs that read, "Good luck, Providence," and "God bless the Providence." It was an hour and a half before the Zeppelin launches with 2 lucky passengers. The crowds were pushing and shouting, and officers, including Flanagan and Norm, with arms linked, were trying to hold them back. Looking ahead, Grandpa Jack was angered by the fact that there was a long banner at the platform that read, "Cadono's Bicentennial, 200 years of precision and order." Far from the crowd where the Pratchetts were at was a man with ginger hair, preparing his portable Filmo. He was wearing round eyeglasses, a white shirt, a black tie, a blue vest, a gray jacket with matching pants, and black shoes. Aside from the clothes he wore, you will never believe who this man is. It was Princess Kitty's friend, Cameron Copley, a man who dreamed of being an artist. His dream will eventually come to light when he was inspired to paint a picture of her upon first glance when she first came to Cadono. "Ah, pleasure to meet you," Grandpa Jack said when he and the children approached. "I see that you're getting ready." "Why not? People pay money to see in the flickers," Cameron said. "And I wanted to quit the business and go into artistry." "Artistry?" Audrey asked. "I'm Cameron Copley," he introduced. "I'm John Pratchett," Grandpa Jack introduced. "Call me Jack. And my grandchildren are here." "Ah, Kate told me about you," Cameron said. "You see, I became inspired in becoming an artist after I saw her again." That got the children's attention. "You have?" Todd asked. "Of course I did," Cameron said. "Yesterday we went to this fairground a day early. We also visited the bakery when she's hungry." "To feast on sweets, is she?" Grandpa Jack grinned. "Exactly. I know that I'm still bothered by that, but I think she's a better friend than I have ever known. I've drawn a portrait of her in my apartment, with her as my model." That made the children really happy with excitement. "Say, before I set up, I'll take you to see my friend Leola," Cameron said. "Leola?" Grandpa Jack asked. "Isn't she that woman who runs the bakery with her husband when my son is working?" "She's here. It's the bakery Kitty and I went off to. She has opened a bakery stall to the customers at the fairground. Besides, I have to show the children something." He guided the Pratchetts to a bakery stall in the midst of the fairground, where Leola was selling baked sweets and baked breads for 4 sterlings apiece. "Hey, Leola," he smiled. "Good to see you again." "If it ain't the next Da Vinci," she said. "Boy, does everyone in the fairground go blimp crazy or what?" "These are the Pratchetts, Kitty's friends. I wanted to show them something." "Got the package I requested?" She brings forth a white box. "Right here for the Royal Highness with Sweet Tooth. It's a good thing Floyd isn't here, otherwise he'll drop a hot stack for sure." As the children wonder what is inside, Cameron said, "This package is supposed to be a surprise for Kitty. You 3 won't tell her, won't you?" "We promise," Todd said. "Let's hope we head back to the dirigible on time." "Don't worry, baby," Leola laughed. "That blimp ain't going anywhere. Well, except the air." "Whatever gift you bring her, young man, I hope she'll be really overjoyed," Grandpa Jack said. Todd moves forward and opens the box. Audrey saw what is inside, and her eyes went wide. Inside the box was a huge chocolate cake. Written in white frosting was the word Kitty. Drawn in frosting was a picture of her head with a crown on top. "Jumping kittens," Grandpa Jack said. "Holy Christmas! She'll be more overjoyed when she sees this." "That's not just for her, Jack. It's for your children," Cameron smiled. "And as for you 2, could you 2 deliver this to the lovely Princess Kitty? I'm sure everyone who knew her will make her feel right at home, And can you find out what her birthday is? Then my friend can bake her another one. Free of charge, that is. Cameron turned to Leola and winked at her. The children said nothing. They had their eyes glued to the cake.
Children, what's wrong?
Grandpa Jack asked.
Why aren't you saying something?
The others watched the children, waiting for the verdict. Then, very slowly, as Leola closed the box, with a slow and marvelous grin spreading all over their faces, they lifted their heads and looked straight at Leola, then at Cameron. The color was rushing to their cheeks, and their eyes were wide open, shining with joy. And in the center of each eye, right in the very center, in a black pupil, a little spark of wild excitement was slowly dancing. Then suddenly, with no warning whatsoever, an explosion seemed to take place inside them. They threw up their arms and hugged Cameron, smothering him while screaming, "You bet we will!" They immediately let go. Todd yelled, "And maybe Kitty will want to know your birthday because she'll be able to give you a present to repay her." Cameron was flabbergasted. "Me?
Why not?"
Grandpa Jack smiled.
You're her friend, aren't you?
Cameron laughed and hugged the children back. "Won't that be a good deal?" As soon as the Pratchetts bid farewell, they stumbled onto Gifford Giff Rogers, who was due to man the mooring ropes tied to the Zeppelin, wearing a brown suit and matching shoes. "Truly a historic moment for our city," Giff said. "A continuation to a type of air travel during this golden age."
"It's an honor to be a part of it."
Grandpa Jack reached out for his hand.
"John Pratchett."
"Gifford Rogers from Kerrigan University," he said, as they both shook hands. "I'm certain that my friend would come."
"Who? Princess Kitty?"
"How'd you guess?"
"We expect her to come here too. We surely guarantee to amuse her, now that our expedition has ended."
"Well, maybe you should tell that to the other grown-ups, the ones who do not believe. They're prone not to believing in something like her."
"For now, at least. If she doesn't come soon, they only have themselves to blame."
"Oh, Grandpa," Todd said. "Would she?"
"From now on, I think any grown-up who isn't amused with the great things she has done for the past 3 weeks, and decides to clear them out of their minds, must be deemed by her as an act of thoughtlessness if she has to,"
Grandpa Jack said. Giff nodded. "I'm due to the mooring ropes holding the Zeppelin. What will you be doing?"
"We will make the people believe and make her presence known by having my grandchildren set foot inside the Providence," Grandpa Jack said.
"We wouldn't want her presence to be shone forever,
would we?"
An hour had passed. It was now 1:25 in the afternoon. There was nothing for the people to do but wait. They either stay with the crowd, or perhaps play more games, or get their chance to ride the Ferris wheel for 20 minutes. From the platform, the band begins playing. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy 200th birthday. Happy birthday to you." Following the piece was the national anthem of their country, called Du Gamla, Du Fria. In their language, it means, "Thou ancient, thou free." After the anthem, the crowd rang out in applause as Mayor Donovan strolls to the microphone, announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, afternoon to you all. I would like to thank you all for coming to celebrate the city's bicentennial. We are 35 minutes before the launch. So, in celebration, as mayor of the city, it's a privilege to welcome the Ronaldo Moon Barbershop Quartet as they perform a song celebrating the launch of the dirigible." The crowd applauded when the Barbershop Quartet went up the stairs and onto the platform as they sang their song. "Oh, place your hand upon your heart.
and take part of this brand new start. The Providence shall soon depart to her own sacred mission. Today the Providence shall fly as we look up into the sky. The future of flight shall not die. So join our proud ambition.
The crowd applauded as the quartet bowed. From the control cabin outside an open window, the crew waved a large significant flag of blue and orange and white with the letters in black, EC, the flag of Empire City. Mayor Donovan announces, "And now, from Empire City in New York, along with his 12 crewmen, please welcome the captain of this rigid dirigible, known for working at nativity lines for 15 years, Mr. Pierce Struzik," as the band plays a patriotic anthem. From the dirigible that's grounded 80 yards next to the platform, the door to the control cabin swung open, and a rope ladder came down. Down came the captain, and there was a loud applause from the crowd as he waves. Cameron Copley was in the back, standing on a metal ladder while filming with his Filmo. The captain heads up the stairs and reaches out a hand, and the mayor delightfully shook it. The captain did the same to the 5 members of the city council. One of them saluted, and he saluted back. "Pleasure to meet you and your council, Donovan," he said. "How are you feeling today?" "Couldn't be better," Mayor Donovan said, smirking and presenting the microphone on the platform. "All yours, Captain. Hopefully this will go on without an incident." The captain nodded in annoyance. "Hope so, too. Well, wish me luck." He heads to the microphone, followed by another loud applause from the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this day that will go down in your city's history, as well as the history of ours," he announced. "And I'm also glad to be a part of celebrating your city's 200th birthday, and that I see a good future, and continue a new path, a time where rigid dirigibles will be covering these skies. The name of this dirigible has many several meanings. The protective care of God, or of nature as a spiritual power, and the timely preparation for future eventualities. In my own words to the WAPA in Empire City, I think it's fitting for the next chapter of a golden age with the launch of our flagship to the future. Before we start this solemn promise, I must say a few words about what got my attention. During my visit at the local orphanage, several of the children told me of a less ordinary girl." "Less ordinary?" one man from the crowd said.
"Do you think she meant ours?"
a female said. "Well, they say she was," the captain said. "They say she has hair as pink as cotton candy, large white ears, and tail of a cat, either Persian or any breed that has white fur." That got the children's attention, especially Grandpa Jack. 3 weeks ago, after saving the children, Princess Kay sends them to a local orphanage on board the cat bus. On the platform, Grandpa Jack can see Mayor Donovan shaking his head in disbelief. That made Grandpa Jack suspicious. Therefore, he realized that maybe now is the time for Princess Kay to be known, to be finally seen throughout the city, especially the folks at the fairground. At this point, those orphans who've joined your crowd must know, who is she? Is she a supernatural being of unknown origin, or an angel from the heavens, making us question the probable existence of God, not to mention the existence of life outside our planet?" the captain asked. None of us knew. But someone has to speak up. Perhaps I would like to hear about this cat person from another world, who saved these orphans who are with us today. Grandpa Jack spoke up.
Permission to reply, Captain! I'd be glad to!
The entire crowd gasped in shock, especially Mayor Donovan. Is that so? The captain asked. Then what's this girl I've been hearing about from the orphans when it came to visit?
Her name is Princess Kitty of KAWAII Wonderland, Grandpa Jack gladly replies. My grandchildren and I happen to be her friends.
The entire crowd murmured. How much do you know about this cat girl princess? Asked the captain. Would you step up to the platform, please?
Can I take the grandchildren with me?
Grandpa Jack asked. You can take them with you. Immediately, the Pratchetts went up the platform, earning a lot of stares from the crowd. Grandpa, Audrey whispered. Hundreds of people are looking at us.
Be positive, Audrey, Grandpa Jack said.
He looked at the nervous Mayor Donovan before he turned to the captain. Kindly tell the people at the fairground what is she like, the captain said.
And do you think this is being broadcast throughout the city?
Well, what do you think? What else is everyone going to hear about? Grandpa Jack nodded in silence before walking to the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen of this fairground, well, what would you want me, John Harold Jack Pratchett, to say about Princess Kitty of KAWAII Wonderland? He announced. Between me and my grandchildren, she's beyond anything your expectations can ever tell you. We've been there, when we saved the orphans from a cruel tyrant in Montveria, 1,000 miles east of Codono. We never even thank her enough when we've tried. I think she arrived in our city intentionally. After all, she must be believed to be seen. Doesn't anyone?
He paused, and he and the children can hear the crowd murmuring. He went on.
Maybe she arrived here in our city at a time when we really don't believe in other things. Typically, we believe in what is real and nothing else, focusing on thoughts of precision and order. But now I'm well aware that because of the great things she had done in the past 3 weeks, her presence won't stay ignored for long. She will not remain hidden for the rest of her life.
Then one of Princess Kitty's friends, Fred Groden, called out, The old man has spoken the truth. My crew would have been lost at sea if it had not been for her. Violet and Daisy Briggs piped up. She amused us with a drawing race. Milo Clark and Kishiro Yoshioka called out. She helped us save the balloonists during a storm and confronted an Arashi bird. A nervous Stuart Rochelle called out.
I hate to say it, but that girl with pink hair, she may be responsible for that parade she staged. Not us!
That's not all she had done, Cameron called out. She made me fulfill my dream in becoming an artist. Someday I'll quit this job.
You see? Even other things must be believed. Maybe we just don't know where to look, Grandpa Jack said to the crowd. There's no denying that Princess Kitty will feel right at home, as if she's part of something that's bigger than all of us. No matter how old we are, whether a child becomes a grown-up like me, we all know it's hard to grow out of childhood. Maybe life in Codono can be a whole lot better with her in it. It's a miracle, and me, Todd, Audrey, Mr. Copley, Leola, Professor K. Boom, and any of her friends did our best that anybody could do. I won't even have you brush her great things off like it was nothing. She deserved to be welcomed. But right now, she's expecting you, see?
Expecting what? The captain asked. What does she want?
It's this. To have my grandchildren be the first passengers on board the dirigible, Grandpa Jack said.
Just then, the entire crowd was in shock at the unfairness and injustice, except Princess Kitty's friends. The pressure is too much for Mayor Donovan, so he decides to interfere. That's enough embarrassment, Mr. Pratchett, he said.
Embarrassment?
Grandpa Jack suspected. You have any idea how unfair it is to have your little children on board this Zeppelin and not someone who really deserves the opportunity? What you and the others are saying, there's no way this could all be real.
I saw you shaking your head. Do you want to tell me what you're thinking right now?
Jack, be reasonable, Mayor Donovan warned. You're starting to make me look like an ass here. We wouldn't want any trouble. I need this re-election.
I'm sure she won't if she's here.
I'm afraid she can't, because she...
How could you be so sure if she doesn't exist, Mayor? What will that prove? That her city shall remain uneventful without the unknown? No wonder you decided to brush her actions off like they meant nothing. No wonder you decided to keep her quiet. So now what? Do you have the authority to silence them? Just like you blacklist such talk of phenomena in the newspapers? I know for a fact that my grandchildren, her friends, even Princess Kitty herself, wouldn't like it.
Right now, Mr. Pratchett, you are losing the run of yourself, Mayor Donovan said, raising his voice. Now this has got to stop. All this stuff and nonsense for the past 3 weeks. This is not what the city is known for, and it never will. You better believe I'm entitled to end it all with a word. Now why can't you act your age?
I will not!
Grandpa Jack shouted.
I found myself acting like a child because of her. After 20 years in bed, I feel young again. I feel young again because of her. Like it or not, unfair or not, for her sake, no person in the fairground except Todd and Audrey are going straight to the Providence because it's time to believe. Otherwise, I'll take what you said as an act of disrespect towards her.
You can't be serious.
So what if I am? As long as she wanders the streets, I will not let anyone, even you, keep her quiet. If Cardona welcomes everyone, then let Cardona welcome her in reverence. Welcome, Princess Kitty!
Then came the most simple answer for the mayor of the city. Never. Grandpa Jack glared.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor?
I think you've heard me, Mr. Pratchett. I will not let the city welcome her. Maybe your ears stop functioning well as your brain, given from your age.
What do you mean you will not? Right now I didn't fully understand what your problem was with her.
Let me put it in terms that you can understand. What the slogan Cardona welcomes you actually meant is that my city welcomes real people. Right now, there are 300,000 people here. They are all real like you, your grandchildren, me, and those who are present in the fairground, waiting for the inevitable launch. The slogan doesn't mean it welcomes imaginary friends. Do you understand that? If this girl isn't real, she is not welcomed here. Do you understand that?
Imaginary? You still think she doesn't exist? After all, it was your grandchildren who insist that she should be welcomed in the first place.
Your grandchildren behaved irresponsibly, Mayor Donovan snapped, stuffing such nonsense into their heads, which is why your grandchildren will apologize to me and to everyone in the entire city. Otherwise, it'll be very harder for them. By the end of the year, if I'm re-elected, I will make sure they will.
You can't do that to my grandchildren, Grandpa Jack said. I won't let you force them to renounce their fantasies.
You just try me. The one thing I will never tolerate in my city is to have someone believe in something that doesn't even exist. I'm pretty sure such irresponsibility have terrible consequences, Mr. Pratchett. I'll make sure they never do something like that again. That cat girl does not exist. She never existed. She's imaginary, and nothing more. Nothing
Absolutely nothing is going to alter it or make me reconsider.
How could you say that? Todd cuts in, regardless of any trouble. She wants to make this city her home, as you're willing to take it away from her. She means everything to us. She's the one who did great things. Can't you see it was her destiny? All she wanted was to be welcomed and accepted like everybody else. But Mayor Donovan is having none of it. She meant nothing to anyone. And she meant nothing to my city. Because she doesn't exist. And you need to grow up.
How dare you say that to my grandson?
Grandpa Jack demanded.
Enough!
Mayor Donovan screamed.
I now know for a fact that for all the nonsense your grandchildren have caused in my city and my citizens, you could be sure that they don't deserve to be on board the dirigible, and I will make sure they don't. Now take your children and get off the stage, because we're done wasting any more time with this nonsense. We are done!
Donovan! The captain barked. Even he was getting agitated. That is enough.
Why should I, Captain?
Mayor Donovan asked.
Look, I'm not the bad guy around here. I'm doing what is good for them.
Maybe I'm not being clear to you, Donovan. That's because this Princess Kitty fellow is what got our attention in the first place since we came here. Is that a good enough answer for you? Or you could just remain ignorant all you want. Besides, all you care about is your re-election. And your citizens had already noticed. Not only that, it seemed that you can see unusual things, probably because you're never around anymore to see anything. Your own city.
I don't believe it. You let such nonsense into your head, too. You might as well be the same as every single lunatic in this city.
And what's so wrong about that? The captain demanded. You're making it sound like it's a very bad thing. Before Mayor Donovan could say anything, he was dragged away by one of his members of the city council. That's right, the captain said. You better sit down and don't talk to Mr. Pratchett again. Not even his grandchildren. While my dirigible is flying in the air with those two children, maybe that'll give you enough time to think about every single thing that I've said.
We're not finished talking, Mr. Pratchett,
Mayor Donovan barked.
You hear?
But Grandpa Jack wasn't permeable.
We are now. Time to believe. For Kitty.
Mayor Donovan rants.
I will not allow 200 years of precision and order be thrown out the window because of the unexplained things that happened to my city. As long as I'm mayor, see to it that such things will not affect this special important event because I forbid it!
The captain said to the crowd. Never mind him. This argument serves no purpose. It's all pointless. That doesn't mean he's not going to be re-elected by the end of the year. If we don't do it for her, we can do it for the children and the others. For they rely on their imagination right before their eyes, and beyond their wildest dreams. Truth be told, I think Gadono deserves to have such nonsense. That made the orphans cheer for joy in the middle of the crowd. The decision is made, he said through the microphone. For the Princess Kitty, Todd and Audrey Pratchett will be the first to fly. We launch in 30 minutes. Pretty soon, Princess Kitty's friends joined the cheer of the orphans. Captain, let me say goodbye to my grandchildren first before they go, Grandpa Jack said to the captain. 3 minutes, the captain said. Then he rushes off down the stairs and making his way towards the rope ladder. Grandpa Jack and the children follow him. Well, I guess this is it, he said. You two will finally board that dirigible. Their smiles then disappeared, realizing that Princess Kitty is still not here. We do, Grandpa, Todd said. It's just that... What is it? Grandpa Jack asked. Todd said sadly. It just wasn't good enough without Kitty coming here to see us. Grandpa Jack laid a hand on his shoulder. My dear boy,
Always think of her. I'm sure she'll show up to see you two again. And don't you ever to listen to Donovan. She means everything to us, because we believe in her."
Todd looked up at his grandfather.
"But when?" he asked.
"When will she meet us again?"
"Probably when you least expect it. Perhaps you'll see her flying with her magic while you're up in the air on board that dirigible. Please do me a favor, grandchildren, and look for her."
With that, the children's thoughts about Princess Kitty were eased. "We will, Grandpa," Todd said. "We'll stop at nothing just to see her once again now. Right now, we have a destiny of our own."
"I knew you two would," Grandpa Jack smiled. "None of this will be possible without her and me."
As soon as they reach the bottom of the rope ladder, they hug each other tightly before Grandpa Jack calls up to the captain, who is in the control cabin.
"They're coming up!"
The captain calls out from his megaphone.
"Okay, watch your step and don't rush."
The children slowly climb up the rope ladder as the captain calls out. "Slowly. Keep it slow. Okay, don't look down now. Almost there. Give me your hand. Step up. There you go. You too, little girl, that's it. There. Now look around the control cabin. What do you think of it?" They looked around. The control cabin looks state-of-the-art. There are 2 steering wheels, one for the rudders and one for the elevators, 2 compasses on the front and the rear of the cabin, 2 control boards, 2 altimeters, an inclometer, and a Chadburn. The captain orders, "Mr. Bagley, raise the rope ladder." Bagley salutes. "Aye, Captain." From the ground, Grandpa Jack saw the rope ladder being hoisted up, 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 like a long snake, into the control cabin. Then the door shuts. Bagley calls out, "Rope ladder secured. Door is now locked for departure." The captain then asked the grandchildren, "For the next 15 minutes, why don't we take you on a tour of the Zeppelin, and then we'll launch." "That would be so cool," Todd said with a smile. Already full of excitement, he slides the side window down and calls out to Grandpa Jack from up there. "They're taking us on a tour of the blimp! Can you believe it?" Grandpa Jack only calls out while looking at him through binoculars.
"Look for Kitty!"
After sliding the window close, the captain asked Todd, "Shall we begin?" "Good. First, we shall begin here with the control cabin. If you two didn't know how a Zeppelin works, well, now's your chance to do so." As the fair's band begins to play, Grandpa Jack rushes back to the crowd, already dancing with excitement. He cries out to the sky, waving his hands up and down.
"Princess Kitty! Wherever you are, you'll be seeing them! You'll be seeing my grandchildren on board the Zeppelin soon! This'll be your day of finally being known to all Kodono!"
However, far from the crowd stood Furukawa Ryotaro, Satoru Takahata, and the Tanuki group in their human disguises. Mayor Donovan makes it clear that either Ryotaro or Miss Lenoir will be arrested upon arriving at the fairground. But that didn't stop the figurine on the ticket booth from interfering. They were all watching the Zeppelin from afar, for it towers above them like a huge, gray, overinflated cigar. As you can picture, they are far from pleased. In fact, they're in a foul mood.
"I don't think I see her anywhere," Takahata said. Then he thought, "I shall condemn the day this city turn her head against her."
Ryotaro turned to the others.
"Has anybody seen her? All of you?" he demanded.
The Tanuki all shook their heads. "Oh, do we have to continue?" Horace Beckwith exclaimed, tired. "We've been searching the entire fairground for this girl for nearly 2 hours." She isn't near the kissing booth. She isn't near the shooting gallery. She isn't near the go-kart track. She isn't even near the food carts, tempted as I am. There isn't a trace of pink hair or cat ears anywhere, unless you count strays that wander around here. I have no idea why that happens.
No, Pakachi, Ryotaro said. You don't have to continue anymore. Any of you don't have to. Kadono drove away Princess Kitty. Kadono refused Princess Kitty. All hope for Kadono is gone now.
Herman Muldowney said, I'm aware, Ryotaro. So many days of working on my song, all wasted. You're not going to abandon it like it meant nothing, are you, Shakuchi? Horace said. I refuse, Herman said, which means if it's left unfinished, I have to finish it whether I like it or not. We do find 2 children who happen to be affiliated with her, Mabel Pearson said. Friends. And do they actually expect her to show up, Fireball? The Queen said so herself during the day of the parade. If they do, Herman said, I really hate them being disappointed and upset when she isn't here. How I feel sorry for those children, Ryotaro.
As you should, Shokuchi, Ryotaro said bitterly.
And there's also her grown-up friends. Even they support the princess. You think he cares about them, Shakuchi? Mabel snapped. He doesn't have to. They're all the same. People like Donovan are all guilty of their skepticism towards us, including that poor cat girl. You heard what Donovan said, right? Gunter Hawkins spoke up. She means nothing to everyone in this city, because she doesn't exist. The Queen's gonna love hearing about that.
Perhaps she will, Ryotaro said. She will condemn the society. Donovan has refused for the very last time. And soon, everyone is going to pay for it. I will have Donovan strung up for this, Takahata sneered. Let the unknown do it first, Mr. Takahata, Ryotaro said. The Cat Queen makes it clear that you'll get a chance before the day is out. Do you ever remember what you said to her days ago? About being loyal to her? If the mayor suggests that bad things aren't going to happen to the bicentennial celebration and that Zeppelin, he's going to find out that he's wrong this whole time, because he has chosen not to let the city welcome her.
He's right, Mr. Takahata, Mabel said. In fact, the mayor won't be the only one who's going to be sorry. Why, it's the people at Kodono who believes in what is real and nothing else, especially when they still hold on to thoughts of precision and order. It's their fault bad things are sure to happen soon. It's pretty much baffling how reckless, irresponsible, and shameful people really are.
Then I feel so ashamed of living in a city like this,
Takahata snapped.
Shame come to the mayor and every single person who doesn't believe in anything in this city.
Have you listened to yourself lately? Mabel said. I guess her influence on you from a beckoning cat figure just took a sour toll, as far as I've heard. In other words, it makes you sound like a big, fat, stupid jerk! Osho blurted. Mabel pulled him by the back of his tail. He immediately screamed, "Aye!" Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, she sneered.
Just like I said before, Mr. Takahata, Ryotaro said. You are unaware of how unpredictable the Cat Queen shall be. Not because of her body. How are you feeling?
It undercuts my trust in these city folk, Takahata said. It makes me question their judgment, especially Donovan.
Well, so does the Queen and I. Sure, several become friends of the princess, but clearly, to everybody else, this is the thanks the princess gets for doing great things in the entire city. Isn't it?
Takahata shook his head, but the Tanuki didn't say anything.
Isn't it? Ryotaro demanded.
The Tanuki murmured in disagreement.
Good, Ryotaro said. You know, I've always been disappointed in the human species.
You two are starting to sound like me, and I don't like it. Even I have sympathy for these people from time to time.
Do you, Gunter? Especially the ones who flatten you with a truck while you lay there with your bones and your guts crushed and your blood and organs coming out of your mouth.
Is that what you think?
Gunter stepped back.
Oh hell, I get it! You are too hot.
Even your voice carries the same weight of venom when you mistrust mankind. The same amount as the Queen's. A kitsune's peak is always dreaded at the slightest provocation, Gunter, Ryotaro said.
And all these people are going to be scared by that?
Takahata asked. I can be vindictive, but I shall do nothing, Ryotaro said. People should think such unusual things will not affect the celebration. But what makes the people think nothing bad is going to happen to the children on board that dirigible?
With those words, Takahata stepped back. His eyes widened.
The children!
He exclaimed. The supporters of the princess, I fear, Gunter said.
That's right, Ryotaro said. By a manifestation of disbelief, denial of childish dreams, disaffirmation of fantasy, we see what a consequence is laid upon their disbelief towards us and the creatures around. I hate to see children like those two getting hurt by this coming indication, but there's nothing people can do about it, except the princess. You, Mr. Takahata, won't have to worry about her feeling unwelcome any longer. No one is going to save the children except the girl they believed in. Not even the firemen or the police. Every time the people try, the unknown shall interfere with them, or as that one-eyed thickwit calls the term, sabotage. Whatever happens to the children, it's all up to Kitty.
Takahata swallowed hard, and didn't think that the children are actually going to get hurt. Ryotaro went on with a quiet fury.
I hope you don't have a problem concerning those children in that dirigible, Mr. Takahata. That's what's going to happen soon. From now on, it's only a matter of time. The storm is ready.
Takahata's mouth hung open and he blinked, but he can hear the voice of the Cat Queen inside him. One more refusal from Donovan. Just one more. And the unknown shall give the incredulous inhabitants and their mayor a deterrent example the entire city will never forget. Then he felt her influence take over him again, and glares at the dirigible.
No, I do not, he said. At least, let me feel sorry for those children. If it's all right with Shineko, your most feared Cat Queen. Let me feel pity. Know that your pity and theirs will not spare them the inevitable, Ryotaro said. If bad things happen to the Providence, I wish it was Donovan instead of the children who was on board. That way, he's going to get what he deserved for what he has done. If you really wish it should have been Donovan, then he wouldn't have lived to know the consequences of his actions against Kitty. An act which is completely unforgivable to the unknown, unless she's welcomed. You'll be grateful that he lives to suffer instead. That was stupid to hear you suggest that.
Do you understand what he's saying, Mr. Takahata? Mabel demanded. Takahata said nothing. Ryotaro went on.
For the people out there, They'll continue celebrating their bicentennial for as much as they want. But soon, those happy cheers and their laughter will fade into horrifying screams and wails, especially from other children. Soon the ropes will turn against the Zeppelin, for they are all chastised severely, as if mentally executed by a simple kitsune's peak, or anyone's. And without the Princess Kitty wandering around these streets in the first place, that means we're nothing. We'll have to stay hidden in the dark, be forced to blend in for the rest of our lives, at least until humanity is long gone from this world.
Is what you say fact? Takahata asked.
In life, for every cause, there's a definite, unexpected event, Ryotaro said.
To demonstrate, he went over to one of the games. He picked up one of the balls and threw it towards 3 milk bottles that stood in a pyramid. They were all knocked away.
The cause is I threw a ball at the bottles, he said. The effect is that all 3 were knocked away. Now, Mr. Takahata, for the entire city, the cause is that they drove the Princess Kitty away. The effect is only a question of when.
Then when, Ryotaro? Takahata asked. When will this definite effect happen?
It will happen 7 minutes and 29 seconds before the launch of that dirigible. The worst will happen at 2:20. And with those children being on board, then she'll have to do something about it herself.
I see what you mean by that. They have no idea how upset the unknown is going to be about her non-attendance. They're going to find out too late.
Suppose that means we have to notify the 3 Stooges, Gunter muttered.
Herman brings forth his guitar. I suppose that means my song is not going to be all wasted after all, he spat. Then he begins playing his guitar, singing. Driven away by all of Kadono, the cat girl remains forever unwelcome. All she had done, it is all for nothing. Soon her despair shall bring forth misfortune, down towards the mayor and the city itself, especially their beloved bicentennial. Oh, let us hope she finds out on her own, Gunter said. In case she doesn't, if all is grave, let us encounter her. And if one of us did so before, if we recognize her, then we may encounter her again. That is when trouble does whatever it wishes to punish these people, and we do nothing but watch, Mabel said. Shameful is the city they reside. Such grave forfeiture of their deliberate and unending disbelievability.
We shall be deaf to their pleas and excuses, Ryotaro said. They can't get out of trouble by praying or crying. Unfortunate destiny has their ways and uses, in which the skeptics shall continue denying. May heaven help the children with the trouble they'll be in, because the storm is about to begin.